The showdown between the heroes of Japan and All for One's forces is underway, and with the heroes' plans to split up all the villains working almost flawlessly, one thing had to go wrong, and that's Deku not ending up where he was supposed to. Instead of engaging in the battle against Tomura Shigaraki, he's found himself in the same area as Himiki Toga. What'll happen next? Let's find out. Alright, My Hero Academia, number 346, Super Hyper Unfair Broken State. Did Bakugo name this chapter? Okay, speaking of which, Best Genius seems to be teamed up with Bakugo Edgeshot, Sun Eater, Hado, and Mirako against Tomura Shigaraki. Let's see how this goes down. Best Genius says, Deku isn't here? We don't have one for all. How did this happen? Bakugo says, hell if I know. He was dragged somewhere else. Sun Eater says, this is really bad. Having him here was one of our key assumptions. Hado says, we gotta let everyone know. And Mirka says, whatever, this party's already started, so let's rumble. And that's pretty much on character. And someone noted to me that the whole thing about having Tomura in this remote airborne UA is essentially to minimize the overall damage that his decay can do. Pretty brilliant. Mirko says, we just gotta go toe-to-toe with history's deadliest villain, ever. And Tomura is thinking, the horizon is so far below. I'm in the sky. This place is floating. None of the escaped convicts or Liberation Front people came along for the ride. I'm alone. But it doesn't matter. And hey, don't take over my head this time, me. This time, me. Is he talking to All for One as if he were talking to another aspect of himself, or is it something else? And then he touches down and starts decaying the floor, but it looks like there's something underneath the floor he's on top of. Whoa! It just launched him into the air before his decay could, spread out too far. It's like they have devices that'll just eject those sections so that they'll decay harmlessly in the air. That is clever. And then he hits the barrier around the school like bzzz, like a bug zapper. He thinks, an electromagnetic barrier. My muscles are locking up. But still. And he clenches his fist, but before he can do anything, here comes Best Genius's super ultra tensile fibers, wrapping around his midsection, his arms, his neck. Best Genius says, oh no you don't. There's a gap in your seams. He's clothing puns. I live for it. Ooh, and he slams Tomura into the ground. And he says, as long as your brain and muscles are still operating your body, then a powerful electric current will make you stiffen up. Even someone who's superhuman will be helpless, if only for a brief moment. Clever. Tomura manages to break away from the cables holding him in place, and then he thinks that one segment of the ground was launched up high and crumbled in midair. He then says that once, is it a magnetism to keep my decay from spreading? Of course did. No matter. This scheme will be your ruin, Genius. And some cables come approaching him from behind, but Tomura just flips right out of the way at the last second. It's gonna look so goodly animated. We're floating up in the sky, yeah? The ground here is a precious resource, and you're practically giving it away for free. And Genius says, don't worry, as he points over to the section of ground Tomura previously was on, just essentially reconfiguring into place. He says, we are replete with that particular resource. Have you truly not figured it out yet, Shigaraki? Is your brain short-circuiting from that shock? This arena was constructed solely to defeat you. It shall be your coffin in the sky. And so we see that there's a whole entire construction crew in the area underneath. You got Power Loader, Cementos, Hatsume, Yagorozu, and even Lunch Rush? Oh, snap. Okay, Power Loader says, plates F10-35 and G10-45 have been damaged. Cemento says, Roger that, let's fill in those gaps, everyone. Hatsume says, sure thing, we can get some spare parts over here. Can we get some spare parts over here? What was your name again? And Yaoyorozu says, it's Creati, but my friends call me Momoyao. No, Yao Momo. I prefer it when she says Yao Momo. You can too if you like. Genus then says, our grand assignment was finding a way to contain you with your ability to cause instant widespread death, and your speed on par with that what All Might was in his prime. Observations from your 2 battles since your Great Awakening led us to this ideal arena. Apparently it was Hatsume's idea. Hatsume said, great, let's make it fly. And Gina says, it was all made possible by a 16-year-old young lady. The shelter and evacuation system created by the principal, plus a mechanism to counter your decay quirk, and yet another program to miniaturize the segmented blocks and then launch them like drones. Wow. The remaining problems were a lack of materials due to the ravaged economy, which Yao Momo created, the tight turnaround for construction, which came from the combined forces of Power Loader, Cementos, Ectoplasm, and all of his clones, as well as Principal Nezu and his genius. And then he says, and the prodigious amount of energy required for the mechanical systems and electromagnetic barrier, which we see as being powered by several electric heroes, including Denki Kaminari and Manga Fukudashi. And Kaminari's like, this is totally nuts, Manga. You hanging in there? And Manga's just like, I'm like, blah over here. And the 2 other heroes are just like, focus up first years. And Kaminari's like, hey, we're basically second years at this point. Ain't that right, Manga? And Manga says, this plan falls apart without us. We gotta give it our all to keep Shigaraki locked in. And Kaminari's like, you bet. Your boy Charge Bolt is mega charged. And Gina says, everything we have built up and worked towards is powering this tomb of yours. Not for honor, not for glory. No, those of us here making this work do it to ensure that the world will see tomorrow. We are those who stand against the doom you bring. Damn, Gina, that speech. And you see Mirako running around along one of Best Genius's cables as they go to wrap up Shigaraki as Bakugo and Sun Eater go in. But Shigaraki readies to blast this whole thing apart. And he says, so proud of your toys, but not for long. And he thinks to himself, one plays Shockwave, but nothing happens. And Bakugo says, joke's on you, or did you forget that crappy game of ours back in Jakku? As we see in a nearby, like greenhouse or whatever, we have Monoma accessing Eraserhead's quirk with, what was the guy's name? Manuel? The guy that Ida interned with during that whole stain situation. It's that same incident way back when the dude was constantly moisturizing Eraserhead's eyes so that he could disable Shigaraki way back when. And Monoma says, starring role. There's nothing you hate more than erasure, Mr. Final Boss. And the manual is just like, try not to move. I only remember this guy's name because I kept thinking to myself, that is the weakest name I've ever heard. Like, why would you name yourself Manual? But Aizawa thinks to himself, this effectively locks us in place. But as long as he's making continuous contact, Monoma can circumvent the 5-minute limit for copied abilities. Oh, really? Ugh. What the hell? Okay, hold on. Eraserhead thinks to himself, with all these factors in place, we assumed One for All would give us the advantage, but now, and he says, bad news, Midoriya isn't here. That's true, that would give them a great advantage. And you see Shigaraki leaning back and he's basically pulling an Akira. Like, Rick and Morty called this situation, it's an Akira. It's a straight up an Akira. As all these fleshy thumbs and hands and fingers just start coming out of his arm. And Mirako says the $1 million question, like, Dynamite, got any intel on what the hell that is? And he's like, don't know, never seen it. And Eraserhead thinks, not to mention, Shigaraki's body was still imperfect back in Jakku. And then, boom! Mirko gets hit by a rush of flesh. This takes copping a feel to a whole nother level. And Shigaraki thinks to himself, says, I used to think you were so cool, but you turned out to be quite the letdown, Eraserhead. I mean, how? Dude lost his eye and he's still trying to come and help. Friggin' wild. Alright, first things first, I gotta say, I love that they brought in, like, as many heavy hitters and agile people as they could. Because Edgeshot, he's quick, he's fast, he does a good amount of damage. Mirko, quick and fast, does a lot of damage. Hado, with her abilities, same. And the sheer versatility that Sun Eater can get off, also great. And Bakugo, with his explosions, a lot of damage. But their ace in the hole was going to be Midoriya, because with his strength, his danger sense, his black whip, it was enough to really put Shigaraki down. But without that, it might not be that great of a situation. But I gotta tell you, I love the full explanation of how this place works. Panels that'll just launch like drones to keep Shigaraki's decay from spreading out. An entire arena covered by an electric dome that'll shock Shigaraki and make it so that his thought process slow a little bit. All the fibers so Best Jeanist can constantly be hounding Shigaraki, tying him up where he can. The combination of the most practical people for this job. Power Loader Cementos, Hatsume, Yaoyorozu. I guess Lunch Rush is just here mixing up various different concoctions and whatever. You know, Cemento's not the only one mixing it up, basically. You know, the application of Kaminari and Manga Fukudoshi's abilities. I keep saying Fukudoshi, it's Fukudashi. I feel like his abilities could be better served in other places, but it is what it is. Never gonna have a moment as epic as when he just sent out that massive amount of text that just leveled a battlefield. Like, dude. And for Kaminari, where his power tends to fry him, it's just like, yeah, this might be the best role for him. I also do love that Monoma gets one more use during this whole showdown, and that's allowing Eraserhead to still be useful. I am very saddened that, like, he can't still use his ability with just his one eye. Like, I would just hope that he could still use his ability with just one eye, but I'm glad at least through Monoma being here, they're both able to contribute. And Manuel, the unsung hero of like the past couple of battles, moisturizing. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. But then Shigaraki just had to pull an Akira. Like, was that always gonna be a thing? Like, I'm still wondering, what the hell is this? Alright, well, tell me your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you think they'll be able to pull this off without Deku being there? Or is this gonna be like a Goku situation where Deku's off dealing with the whole Toga situation as everyone else is holding off Shigaraki? He'll make it there at the last second to come in and do the big damn hero thing. Or will Shigaraki decimate this entire arena and escape? My money's on the whole Goku kind of thing where Deku will show up at the last second and come in and help. But who knows? A floating battlefield like this, I would hate to see everything just off screen. Like, the floating UA battlefield is the most interesting setting pretty much to date. And for that to just be something that Shigaraki just blows up off screen so he makes it to where the aquarium that Deku is at, no. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe so that way you don't miss out on the next one. And until then, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.